Hello and welcome to the Soundboard with Tofe Podcast, the podcast about podcasting. Welcome to episode 7, and I am so stoked that you're here because we're almost 2 months into this puppy. It's great that I put the intention out that I wanted to create this podcast on my own while I put out little bits of value adds and what I've learned, so things like that, very anecdotal, as well as behind the scenes as I grow my business Soundboard. And something that I want to let you into my world is if you're watching this on YouTube, now I'm going to put a little shameless plug. It is called Soundboard with Tofe on YouTube. You'll notice that the setup looks completely different and the quality is so much better. That is because I have a new setup, a new camera setup. I was doing it via webcam, which looked not as great. Let's just say that. But the more you get to know me, the more you'll understand that I say good enough is perfect. So when I batched the last 6 episodes ahead of time, I used the same setup. And what did the same setup sound like? Well, if you're listening to this, most likely listening to this on some sort of podcast platform, it sounds a lot more crisper, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like it's echoey or there's no vibration. That is because I was also waiting on some equipment that was being sent to me. So now I've got my boom arm and my shock mount and my pop filter, all that kind of stuff that I should have had at the start. But that's okay. I know every singer that's done very well for themselves. They had their first songs, and then when they're at now, it's a lot different. The other thing that I have behind the scenes is, if you're watching this, I have my first Soundboard shirt. So Soundboard's my business. The podcast is an extension of that. And the shirt is a little bit of marketing collateral, but I have to give a shout out to my partner, B, or Bernie for everyone else. It was her idea that I should have these. I think it's good for networking events, but it's just good for branding, especially on the podcast, anyone else's podcast. And they've finally arrived today, so that's awesome. Now, with today's episode, it is around behind the scenes. I have to say I'm about 6 weeks into this podcasting business full time, ever since I left my 9 to 5. It's been awesome. I'm going to have to say that. And I say that with love. I say that because it has been awesome. It's been awesome to have control of my own day and to set everything up the way I want it to. And I'm getting a lot of momentum. I gained another 2 or 3 more clients last week, which was really cool. And one was in the personal branding space. We're still in the setup phase, so there's no point mentioning who it is or telling you about his podcast just yet, because I'm sure things may change. And the other one is a company. They measure psychological safety. So it's pretty cool that I get to align with the brands and the companies, and there's a value alignment. And that was one big reason why I wanted to do this. So I get to pick and choose the clients that I want to personally work with, as opposed to going for anyone, because I'm not about that mindset. I'm about quality. It's a value I harp myself on about. But as well as the ups, there have been some downs that go with it. The biggest down for me is time management. So I'm finding that as a guy that is running pretty much a one-man band, and I do get a bit of help from my partner, which I'm so incredibly grateful for. It's about structuring my day so it's not ad hoc. So it's the lesson that I'm learning from all of this is focus on what is priority. And I'm learning it this way early on as opposed to later on. And this is actually a pattern that I'm trying to break from anything else that I've ever done. As opposed to doing the thing that I want to do, I need to focus on the thing that I need to do, or the things that I need to do. Now, with time management, it's multi-layered. There's so many parts to it that I can't go, I have to do this and it's going to fix everything. There's actually a lot of incremental habits that I have to take into play so that I can fully own my day. And the big one is working out first thing in the morning so that I've got a clear mind, I've got a sweat on, and then dedicating some time for myself to have some meditation in my day, or else I know I get frustrated. And then tackling those 1 to 3 things first thing, the most important things that any other task that I want to do, that can wait because it's not priority. That's the big lesson I've learned from this. And I'd rather learn that now than months later down when I'm absolutely flat out, when I've got a huge clientele that I need to address. And then things may feel like I'm burning out. So that is the big one I'm learning from time management, or else my backlog of urgency goes out the window. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. I just want to say thank you so much for listening. It honestly means the world as I grow as a business and start documenting more of it. All I can ask is if you could give this episode a share, send it to someone that's also in the podcasting game or is looking to start a podcast, or even share it with your friends and family. Any support is greatly appreciated, but I will see you in the next episode. See you there.
Thank you for listening, and remember, your voice matters. Soundboard acknowledges the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, paying respects to elders past, present, and emerging.